Okay, I think I'm live right now. Sorry for the wait. Hello, guys. My name is Amir, and welcome to the stream of month May. And I'm happy to be here. And I'm just gonna wait and see like if my audio is okay, and then we can just like start and go ahead to the process. So, oh, I can hear my own voice. I'm just gonna mute my own voice so I can work fine. Okay, I think everything looks fine, and hopefully my audio is good. If my audio is not great, let me know. I can just like fix it, hopefully. So, okay, for this month, I'm gonna show you guys how you can create this technique as I can show it to you guys here. So this is a magnifying glass, and this magnifying glass gets the color of the background that it sees. Like it's just like can see my forehead. Like if I just like move it to my hair, you can see the hair is black, and it's just like showing the background color. Like you can see the effects completely here in my eyebrows. And this thing is working now in the screen space, and we have another example in the word space too, so that it's tracked to my face, as you can see in here. So yeah, like it's getting a color here. It's kind of cool. So you can create like I don't know, some kind of effects that put this stuff on the face that it just like change the color, or you can just like make the background white and make these dots only react to the color of your skin and just like not showing the actual person. So it's kind of cool effect, and let's see how we can create this. Okay, and by the way, today is mostly gonna be coding, but it's gonna be fun. Okay, I'm gonna close this project and create a new project, and we can go there from the scratch. Okay, is it live? Okay, yeah, cool. So to start, I'm gonna show you guys how you can create the screen space version 1, and then we can go to the workspace version of that. And if you guys have any question, let me know. I'm looking at the chat, and hopefully everything's cool. Okay, to start, I'm gonna search for screen image, and you can see it here. And in here, in the 2D scene panel, you can, of course, change the size. I'm trying to just like show it the way that, like, if you guys first time using Lens Studio, maybe can get an idea like how does it work, or maybe not. But this is more like an intermediate class, but I'm trying to keep it as beginner as I can. Okay, so we have this screen image that is attached to the screen. It's not in a 3D space, it's in a 2D space, which is on the screen. And I want to see how can I move this with my mouse. Like maybe like so many people like ask how you can just like click on it, drag it, and just like move it around the screen. So, but it's easy. I'm gonna show you guys how you can do it. So you go to the Lens Studio website and search for screen transform. And if you scroll down in the API section, you can see there is a screen transform. And you go there, and the cool thing about the API page is they always have a example code that you can just like copy and paste, and you don't need to do anything. Okay, so in here, like, excuse me, they have a code that you can see in here that get the screen transform, and on touch, it just like move the screen image to that touch position. That's all we need. So I'm gonna copy this and go in here and search for a script, and I'm gonna rename it like to get screen color, and I'll click on it and paste. Okay, so this is a script that we need. So I'm gonna place this here, but since we're putting our script on this on the screen image, so I'm trying to just like not use the expose variable. So it's gonna be easier to do that, like if we don't have it, like if we don't need to think about like I need to assign that, I don't need to, like I don't want to assign anything anymore. So I'm gonna call this variable the screen transform, and this is like script that get scene object. Can we get component in here? Maybe no. Get scene object and then get component, and then the component is component the screen transform. Okay, now I can delete that part. And in here, I'm just gonna search for all the screen transform and remove the script part, since this is not the exposed variable. And then save. Now, if you click on it, there's no variable exposed, and I can drag it and move it around the screen. Like, this is really cool. Okay, so now we have a thing that moves around the screen. That's really nice. Okay, so how we can get the color? So to get the color, actually, it's kind of like you're not getting the actual color. So the way that it works is just like make the device camera texture, like the actual texture on the screen. It makes it like really big, the biggest as possible, and just like each, like when we move it, it just like get the color of that pixel. Like it's actually imagining just like making that image is so big that this thing is in the middle of 1 pixel. So if you move, it just like moves through all the pixels around the screen. So to do that, it's kind of like it's not hacky, but it's kind of in a way that it's hacky, but it's not. Okay, to do that, let's start getting the screen color. So we need to do that, we need to have like a custom shader that we can create using material graph to just like tell the shader to just like make it as big as possible to the point that we tell you, to the point that it's in the screen space. So screen space points, it's just like start from 0 to 1. So we need to get that point and just like pass it to the shader, and shader will give us that exact pixel, which is the color that we want, if that makes sense. Okay, to do that, it's really simple. First, we need to create the update function to just like get the position of this object every frame. Or you can definitely do that through the also on touch, which is kind of like, I think it's a better idea, but let's do it in the touch. Like in the example that I created before, I did it in the update, but I think you can do it in the touch event too. So let's start with the update event, that every frame we get the color, and then we check if it's work on touch. I don't think so now, I'm thinking about it, but let's do it in the update. So to create the update event, you just like go there and create the update events, just like script create events, and we call the update event, and .bind, we're gonna bind it to on update function. And I'm gonna create the function here, function on update. Oh, I have this pop filter, I can not see my keyboard. Okay, so we have that. Now what we need to do is just like get the position of this object in the screen space. So to do that, we're gonna bring the like we have a reference to the screen transform, and we're gonna get that. I'm gonna look here. Okay, we're gonna get the screen position is equal to screen transform, or screen transform. And if you search here, I'm gonna type screen, and what we need is get the local point to the screen point. So we need to find the local point of my object and turn it into the screen point that we can pass it to our shader. So I'm gonna go here and local point to screen point, and then you need to pass in the vector 2, 0, and 0. Okay, and I'm gonna print the screen position so we see if we are getting the right values. So I'm printing, but I don't see anything. If you guys have the same problem, you go to Windows and get the logger. Cool. I'm gonna attach a logger here, and you can see the screen position of this screen image here. So in here, it starts with 0, 9, and in here, it goes from like if I move it up there, it's 1 to 0. So what we need, so in the shader space, like the values that we're getting, but we need to convert it to the screen, the screen, what's it called, a screen point. So the texture point is actually start from 0, 0 here, like at the bottom left, and in top right it's 1, 1. But what we're getting here, it's 0, 1 and 1, 0, as you can see in the logger. So what we need to do is just like convert this, like instead of just like I want to just like make it the way that if I just like move it up there, I get the values of 1 and 1 instead of like 1 and 0. So to do that, it's really simple. You go here and just like say screen position dot y. So since we need to do it on a y, and we do minus screen pose dot y. Okay, I'm gonna add this space, and now let's see. Now you can see the top right is now 1 and 1. That's all we need, and you can see my cat in the background too. Okay. Let's see the chat if anyone has any question. I'm gonna reload. Okay. And please let me know if something is not making sense or anything I can try to explain it better. Cool. Now that we have these numbers, I'm gonna start to make our shader to see how does it possible to do that. So to do that, to create a shader with material graph, we just like search for graph, and I'm gonna create the empty graph. And make sure to save always. I'm gonna save on desktop, and I'm gonna call it untitled for now. Okay, I'm gonna open my graph. Oops. Oh, God. I'm gonna dock it back down, and if I can just like move it down. Okay, cool. What I need to do is just like get the device camera texture and just like make that as big as possible and get the exact pixel. So to do that, I'm gonna create the texture object, and I'm gonna call this device camera texture And then I'm gonna need to sample this, and I'm gonna create on texture sample, and then I'm gonna need to put it to the color pixel. Okay, that's all we have, but we need to have the UV coordinate. We need to just like make the UV as big as possible. So to do that, we need to create the float parameter that it's like a vector2 float parameter that just like we place all the values that we're getting from the code and put it in here to just like make that a stretching board. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the comments in a second after I create this. And okay, I'm gonna make a float parameter, and since the screen transform is just like vector2, I'm gonna change the channel to XY so we get 2 channel, and I'm just gonna connect it here. And then I'm gonna call this UV. UV. And script name, I'm gonna put it UV so I can just like access it with the UV name. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm gonna put it for now in here. We don't get any image at this moment. And then in my texture, I'm gonna place the device camera texture. Now you can see it's all black and we're getting nothing. Okay, to fix this, we're gonna go back to the script, and in here we're saying we're getting the screen position, but now we need to just like pass this screen position to our shader. So to do that, I'm gonna show you guys how to just like make the optimized way, so you can just like easily get the material and just like put it on the main pass, and just like every frame getting the main pass and place the screen position to the UV. But getting a screen pass every frame is not a good idea. So what you can do is do this to just like make it much more optimized. Okay, to do that, I'm gonna call this first I need to what I'm gonna do is getting the pass before the update, and in the update I'm just like ask the pass to just like place this value in it. So in here I'm gonna search mesh visual, create a variable called mesh visual, and get the mesh visual from the image. So script dot get scene object. Oh, I cannot type. And since we're just like using this scene object 2 times here, I'm gonna create the variable called this object, and it's script dot get scene object. And then my code is gonna be much cleaner this way. And okay. And this one is getting component of component.mesh, and I need the material. So material mesh visual. And then since like you can see that I passed the shader here, but if you have couple of these, it's gonna, because we're using one material for all of them, it's gonna return all of them, it's gonna return the same value. But we don't want that. We don't want each, like if you have a couple of these screen images, we want to each have a different of this. So what I'm gonna do, instead of just like doing this, I'm gonna clear that, or Command Z, so I can, okay, go back to the default, and I'm gonna, so the better way to do that is we're gonna get the asset dot material. We're gonna get the material here, and in here, if if the mesh visual is available, what I'm gonna do is on the mesh visual, I'm gonna say the main material should be script dot material dot clone. So in here, what I'm gonna do is just like say, if this mesh visual is available, I'm gonna clone this graph and the material, clone it and place it here. So imagine like if you have like a couple of these objects, they all gonna have their own material. So they're all gonna have a different value. It's not gonna be the same, all of them. And lastly, I'm gonna create the variable called mesh pass. And in here, mesh pass equal to mesh, I cannot type, mesh visual dot main pass. And in here on the initialize, we're getting the pass that we don't need to do this every frame anymore. And I'm gonna print here and see if everything is working fine. I'm gonna call it fancy here. I'm gonna delete this screen point. Okay, let's see. I'm getting error. The reason is we haven't assigned our material here. I'm gonna call this custom. No, I'm gonna call this screen color. Okay. Now you can see that here is happening. We're getting a pass. And all we need to do here is on the mesh pass, we call it the UV. The UV is the value that we exposed it here, is equal to screen position and save. And now you can see I'm getting a color of each pixel that is happening on this screen. I'm gonna make this smaller so you can just like easily see that. And I'm gonna change it to stretch. Okay. Let's make it a little bit smaller. So you can see now I'm getting the color of everywhere on this screen. Now you can not see it anymore because it's hiding. It's kind of like a camouflage, but see how cool is that? Okay, let's go back to the comments. Okay. Is it bad to have, why do you want to have more than one update even in your scene? Okay, my name is Amir. I'm one of the interactive engineers at Snapchat. Frame updates log usually. No. Why do you think it does crash the Lens Studio? So if it crashed, so please file a bug. Like if you see if there's a crash happening, just like report to Lens Studio. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, please tell me how can I add multiple eye colors in one lens? Okay, we will multiple eye colors. So we will try to just like explain it in this session. If it doesn't happen, we'll promise to just like do it in the next stream. Yeah, material.clone is really helpful. Like it helps a lot, and it makes your project more cleaner, as you can see here. Thank you guys. More than one. Would want to have more than one, so I don't. So yeah, instead of just like having a one, so you don't need to have like a couple of the update functions. So what you can do is just like in here, instead of just like me also doing it not clean, so I can just like in here, I'm gonna create the like function called get screen point and apply color. This is a bad naming, of course, but what you can do is to have your function cleaner, like update function cleaner, is just like using the function instead of your inside your update event. So your update event won't be just like crazy as before. So now you can see my update event is only one line. So you can just like do this, like it's like put more functions, just like divide it into functions, and it's more readable and it's more cleaner, and you can just like more easily debug your code. Okay, let me know if that makes sense. How do you see the material? How do you see the material and script editor? How do I see the material in script editor? So I just like stack them up there, but let's save it and let's go back to the default layout. I don't know how does it look in the default layout. Okay, in the default layout, ooh, I got smaller. Okay, so what I did was I go to the panel and material editor, I put it there, and then I go there and just like script editor, and it's automatically stacked them up here. Okay, cool. I'm glad that the function makes sense. And can you print RGB color on the console? So the actual catch in here, this is not showing the RGB color. This is just like stretching the camera device texture as big as possible in that point, so you can just like see the color of that point, but you cannot get the RGB value in that, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. I think I answered all of the questions. Why exactly did you have to clone material instead of using one? Okay, I can definitely show you that. So if we don't clone it, let's go back to the script. Okay, I'm just gonna, I can make you, okay. I'm not gonna clone it. So I have this guy here, and I'm gonna duplicate this. And on these two, I'm gonna place the same material, as you can see, screen color. And in here, I'm gonna move one of them somewhere else that we can see why we need two material. So if, oh God. Okay, so now you can, oh my God. I'm gonna try to, okay, now you can see like, if I move one of them, if I using the one material instead of just like cloning it, if I have a couple of this, if I move one of them, the other one is getting the same color as you can see here, just like it's getting the exact same color. But if you have if you clone our material, each one of them has a different value, that they can have a different value because it's a different material on each of them, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go on Z, and did that make sense? Oftentimes I click something in the object panel, but okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna continue on this and come back on the more question if that's okay. Is that okay? Can you please? Okay, I try to just like do the change eye color too, but that one, I wish we could do it in the beginner class that we have next time. Like, but I will try to do it as soon as possible. So we're not getting the color. So the reason is we didn't set the material. Okay, cool. Now that we have this thing, but so the example that I have was just like they had a like kind of like a masked look into it. It was just like a circle, and it has a magnifying glass on it. So what I'm gonna do is just like add the magnifying glass to it. So I'm gonna make this that big, and I'm gonna call it get screen. Oh my god, color. God. Okay. And then I have my graphic somewhere on my desktop. Magnify. Okay. And import. So I'm going to duplicate this and place it there as a child. And I'm going to call this magnify. Yeah, that's enough. And then I'm going to remove the script and place the magnify glass here. And our magnify glass is so small here. I can make it big. Cool. This is getting nice. Okay. Now you can see we have a magnify glass moving this thing, but you can see there is some it's not circle, and we don't see the mask, and it kind of looks bad, the edges that we can see it here. And it's really simple to fix that problem, and we don't need any mask texture for that. So you can create your mask texture inside Lens Studio. I'm gonna place it somewhere so we can see it better. Let me make it really huge so we can see it. Didn't I select both of them? Okay, now you can see like this edges is just like look really bad like that. So we can just like, of course, create the mask texture in Photoshop, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to just we want to have our lens to be just like small as possible. So to do that, I'm gonna create something called, I don't know what's it called, radial gradient. So yeah, what is radial gradient? Radial gradient, you can see it here. It's a gradient that it's just like applying to the color. So I'm gonna make this black and white too, so we can just like get a better representation of like what it is. And I'm gonna make this black. Okay, so this is our mask texture. I'm gonna change the color so we can see it. The black was bad idea. I'm gonna make it blue. Okay, so we don't want any softness, so we put, oh, actually we should put 0. And I'm gonna make this big, like 0.5, more bigger, like 0.85, I think. Yes, cool. Now you can see we have our mask is happening here. I'm gonna, oop, we cannot see it. Okay, so yeah, oh, actually I was doing it wrong. Okay, you can see our mask is happening right here. I'm gonna change the color to black so it looks more like a mask. And then how to apply it to the mask, how to make it a mask. To do that, it's simple. We use a node called mixer node. So what is mixer node? Mixer node is just like mixing 2 nodes together to create 1 node. So what I'm gonna do in here, I'm gonna set the input channel A. So my input channel A is gonna be RGB because we want the A to come from the radial gradient. So I'm gonna call the input channel B to be X, so I can plug it here. Okay, so I assign the X value, which is gonna be our RGBA. So this is A, and this is gonna be our RGB. So now we created RGBA. So now we have to just like set the output to RGBA. And now you can see our RGB is coming from the here, and our alpha is coming from the radial gradient. Now I can just like plug that in here and not working. So let's figure out what is the problem here. Okay, I know what is the problem. So there's any material that comes in the Lens Studio, so by default the blend mode is on disable, so which means like it's not rendering the transparent. So you can put it on normal, and now it's rendered as a transparent, but you can see it's not working really good. Okay, so let's try to fix that. Okay, so now let's go to the input channel. A is RGB and this is X. Okay, yeah, that works fine. Okay, so the problem was like these two are coming from the A, which is RGB, and our last channel A is coming from a B input, which is X. Now you can see we're getting a color and it's really huge. Okay, I can see we have lots of questions here. I'm gonna make this small, so so we can have, like, you saw how I did it. Cool. So should let's go back to the chat, and I'll be back with the Word version of it. Okay, where should I start? I don't remember where was I before. Can I explain about thank you. Okay. Where is this going? Okay, how did you increase the screen size how did I increase the screen size? If I get your question right, how did I make the image bigger? So you can just like select it and change it to the 2D and make it bigger, smaller. Did you ask that? I hope I answered that question, Marco, right? How long does stream last? I think it's about I think we're hitting, I was planning to be 30 minutes, but we're on a 40 minute, but we can just stay longer. What are you trying to do? I just tune in. Okay, so what we did was just we created the custom script with custom shader to get the screen color. You can just see the color of the screen in each pixel like this. This magnifying glass is just showing you the color of each part in my face or in the background, if that makes sense. Okay. You should make it easier to create mask. I can see a beginner person going through. Yeah. The mask, of course, you can just import the texture and just use the texture as a mask. But in here, I try to teach you guys how you can just not use any mask texture and just I think it's easier instead of just going to Photoshop and come back. Okay. Is there a way to resize a scene object, keep the aspect ratio? I hope there was. You can do that actually. Yeah, you can set this to. I think if you set all of them to fit, when you just scale them, it just the aspect stays the same. You cannot change the aspect. All the aspects stays the same. But we don't wanna. We just wanna to use stretch in here. Okay. Can you show easy way to apply mask? So didn't I? Oh, to apply a mask texture. Yeah, I can show it to you. So in here, instead of just having the radial, you can just create the what's it called? The texture 2D, and in here you can just put it here and it should work fine. You can see it's just showing the checker because I don't have a texture here, but I can you can just apply any texture that you have here. I'm gonna search on my computer if I have a faded sphere texture somewhere. Okay, yeah, I can see I have a texture here. Where is my finder? Okay, faded the sphere. Okay, now you can see on the screen color, I can apply this faded sphere and refresh. You can see it's working. Like, it's kind of like a hazy hazy color, but this is a procedural way, which is much better in my opinion. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It doesn't come up under the panels. The material, so the material editor doesn't come up under panels. So what I suggest is just like make sure you have the latest Lens Studio that has a material editor, and also just like if it doesn't show, like so you can just like let me find my material editor. So where is my material editor? Or I'm lost. Okay, what? Not the script editor. You can of course double click on your material to open the material editor. So if you're talking about this part, you can just like click on these three dots that it's kind of invisible and grab, and not this one, grab it and bring it out. Or if it's just like somewhere else, you can just like grab it and dock it here. So this is my main layout that I work. What if you wanna hide? Oh, what if you wanna just like invert that? So it's really easy to invert the texture invert any mask or any texture in Lens Studio. So you just like search for 1- and plug it here, and now you can see it's happening outside. It's not the inside anymore. It just like happened to be outside. Yeah, exactly. With using the procedural stuff, you get to just like make the lens to be just like 0.32 megabyte, and you don't need to deal with any texture or anything anymore. Okay, so this is cool. Actually, I like the idea of this to be outside. Cool. So I'm gonna show it to you guys one more thing before I stop the screen. So there is another version of this. This one was like a screen space, but I'm gonna show you the workspace version of it. So how does it work? So I'm gonna create the head binding and attach a sphere to my head. And sphere. Okay, is it working? Okay, I'm gonna put the sphere on my my nose. Where's nose? Head center. Maybe left eye. Yeah, cool. Left eye is good. I like it. Okay, now I want to make it to be attached. Oh my god. Actually, I have a delay on my Lens Studio too. Okay, but how does it work with the screen space? So in the screen space, I already made the script for you guys, so we don't get to be just like 10 hours non-stop stream, but this script is almost the same. So in here, I'm gonna just like getting the scene object. So I'm gonna apply my script here so we can see it. How does it work? So in the workspace, you need the camera and also the script, but make sure to don't have a mask for this version because this is like a sphere. Okay, so in the workspace version, you need to have a reference to the camera. The reason is we need to get we need to get the position of each object and turn that position into the screen space. So we're getting like a vector tree, like XYZ position of any object, and then turn it to the, just like start from 0, 0 to 1, 1, turn it to the screen space, and now you have it attached to the face. Now you can have multiple of these in here. So one for here, another one for these eyes, and I'm gonna place one here and make one more in here, make one more there. I'm gonna try to see if I can just like crash the Lens Studio before, but you can see how well it's working and how cool it is. But I'm gonna show you guys just like another thing. So if it's just like, if it's not very visible, you can just like go here and just like search for PBR node and attach it here, and now you can see all of these have a like actual shape to it. So you can just like play with the metallic or just like roughness of it, just like that. Or I like the unlit version, so like this. I'm gonna add more, couple more like this. I just cannot wait to see what you guys can come up with these stuff, because I think this is really cool and I really love this. You can just like create the complete graphical stuff. Okay. Oops. Okay. That's really cool. That's really cool. I really like this. I'm just like really excited to see what you guys can make with this, because it's 45 minutes past midnight in Italy. Have fun. I hope yeah, thank you guys for watching this. I think I'm gonna stop right now because we passed, like, it's 50 minutes. We're supposed to be 30 minutes, but I'm gonna share the project file with the stream with you guys soon, maybe tomorrow or by the end of the week at max. And hope you guys liked it. And if you guys have any question about this, ask in the forum of the Lens Studio. You can go to the Learn forum, and in here you can ask any question that you have, or just like get an idea. Or also you can just like see the previous stream in here too. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you guys in the next stream, which is gonna be June. Thank you guys for watching and have fun. Bye.